don't know if you guys know this, but this is like pretty interesting fact. Did you guys know that book burning is very American, actually? According to Michael Knowles here. Book burning, one of the most American activities you can do, to be quite frank with you.
Whoopi Goldberg was on The View, and Whoopi made a claim about American law and culture and just what it means to be an American. And Whoopi says, banning books and banning drag queens, that is just downright un-American.
Yeah, it's pretty un-American. I mean, considering it's like anti-First Amendment, which is, I don't know, the First Amendment, right? So the founding fathers that you claim to love so goddamn much, they wrote this little thing called the Bill of Rights, and the very first one was kind of guaranteeing this little thing called freedom of speech. And so, yeah, the government coming in, stepping in and banning stuff that is protected by freedom of speech is pretty un-American, actually. Yeah.
I'm not willing to give you access to my body. I'm just not willing to do that. That is
good for you. I don't give a about The View. I don't give a about Whoopi Goldberg beyond the fact that she was Guinan in Star Trek, The Next Generation. I don't give a but I mean, good for her, because I agree. The central tenet, once again, of my entire philosophy in life and on this world is that every person owns themselves. You own you. I own me. Whoopi Goldberg owns Whoopi Goldberg. We all own ourselves. And we can do whatever we want with that property as long as we are not damaging the property of others. You know, if you're not harming another person, you can do whatever the f you want to do, and that's where the line is drawn. You have the right to throw as many punches as you want until it hits someone else in the face, unless they've agreed, like, let's do combat together. If they've accepted the risk and you've accepted the risk and you want to fight, then that's perfectly fine. But go up to the street, punch someone in the face, that's wrong. But pretty much anything short of that, I think you're pretty much within your rights.
It's none of your business. What goes on in my family is none of your business. Like, I feel like if you don't want to see drag shows, then don't take your child to a drag show.
Yeah, you don't like drag, don't go to drag. It's pretty fucking avoidable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, have you guys ever been like just wandering out there in the world? And, you just round a corner, you're just walking down the street, you go around, oh shit, a fucking drag show. Ah! Has that ever happened? Have you ever accidentally just stumbled upon an elaborate freaking drag show? No. I never have. If one of you has, that's a hell of a goddamn story. Because as far as I'm concerned, you got to really go out of your way to see a goddamn drag show. You got to really fucking want to see it. You got to be like, hey, I heard there's a drag show happening at this time, in this place, at this address. I'm going to go there and walk into that building and maybe even pay admission into that building so I can go see that drag show. And that's how you see a drag show. Typically, you're not just walking down the street and holy shit, a drag show is just, oh no, I'm suddenly in a drag show now. What is this? How did this happen?
If you don't want your child reading certain books, give the library a list of the books.
Oh shit, I should probably go back to the this view before I start playing that again, right?
You don't want your kid to read. Stay off my back. Because my rights are just as important as yours, and when it comes to what I do with my family and my body, it's not.
You know what's really weird is that I feel like as little as 10, 15, 20 years ago, this exact same speech would have people who identify as Republicans cheering. This exact same speech would have people who identify as Republicans going, yeah, she's right, 100%. I believe that. I mean, yeah, they would full-throatedly endorse everything that Whoopi Goldberg is saying here. And it just kind of shows me how far the Republican Party has actually slid into fascistic thinking, how far it has slid into like quasi-Nazi thinking, that these talking points, these very American, very pro-freedom talking points are now going to be viewed as like some kind of like crazy, radical, leftist libertarian sort of position that Michael Knowles is going to full-throatedly argue against and say, like, no, you're wrong about that. Freedom sucks. We need totalitarianism in this country. I mean, he's not going to use those words, of course. He's not going to say, like, I'm a totalitarian. I mean, if he did, we could at least commend his honesty. But he's going to make a bunch of totalitarian talking points in response to this. I've not seen this. I just know that's what he's going to do because it's Michael Knowles.
None of your business. It is up to you to know what your kids are reading. If you want to know, go to the school. If it's not a book you're interested in, tell the teacher you don't want your kid reading it. But don't get in the way of my kid being able to read that book. That is not American. Get off my back.
That is not American. Okay, so before we get into what...
It's not. It's not. And if you argue that it is, then you literally fucking have no idea what America is, was, could be, should be, any of that. I'm not saying this country's always been has been perfect. I'm not saying this country has a perfect record on this stuff. There have definitely been censorship campaigns that have taken place in this country prior to this latest one. There have definitely been giant protests against books and movies and other media materials out there. There have definitely been times when the government has overstepped its bounds. But the fact that those things have happened historically does not justify them, nor does it make them American. Because if you actually look at the founding documents of this country, and once again, I'm not coming to you as some kind of pro-constitutionalist person, all right? I am un-American in a very different way. But I'm just telling you, based on what the founding documents actually say, yes, a citizen of this country should have the right to express whatever they want to. The government should not interfere in things like reading materials. The government should not interfere in things like, what sort of religious practices a person is involved in, or what sort of ideological practices a person has, or what a person's beliefs are, or any of that stuff. I mean, really, I think even stuff like enforcing drug laws is an infringement. I think that there's a lot of things the government does that's an overreach in terms of where I'm concerned, because I believe in a much more libertarian society than the one we currently inhabit. In most regards, there are a few things where I'm a little stricter than this society. I think this society, for instance, is way too lenient towards misinformation, lies, deceit, deceptive practices, tricking people, filling their heads with nonsense. I believe that those things should be cracked down upon, including religion, by the way. But that's me. That's my personal belief. But in most regards, I believe we should live in a more libertarian, more permissive society. I think that, the only thing that should really be verboten is harming other people or deceiving other people. Beyond that, I think most things are acceptable, especially things that only affect the person making the decision. Like, I want to take drugs. It is my body. It is my choice. That sort of thing.
He's confused philosophy. Just as an historical point, banning books is very American. Banning drag shows is obviously very American for much of American history.
No. Wait, what? No, it's not. Dude, drag shows used to be way less controversial than they are now. Drag used to be very mainstream entertainment. Like Ronald Reagan dressed in drag. Like, there is a giant list, a compendium, a mile long of entertainers who dressed in drag in G-rated films and family films, and no one cared. Like, how many times, like Big Mama's House, Mrs. Doubtfire, like stuff like that, that's all drag. None of that isn't drag. So, I don't know what you're talking about. Men dressing up like women. I mean, back in the days of Shakespeare, that used to be all there was, because women weren't allowed to act on the stage. So all of the female parts were played by men in drag. So this idea that drag is this ultra controversial thing that historically has been frowned upon is not true. Drag has actually always been a pretty acceptable form of entertainment until very recently, when you guys decided it was evil. That's the recent development, not drag shows.
throughout the country, including in San Francisco, transvestitism was completely illegal. You would be arrested for public disturbance if you ever did that. All sorts of weird sexual behaviors were illegal in the United States until...
Drag is not weird sexual behavior. If drag is weird sexual behavior, then Ronald Reagan was a drag queen. Rudy Giuliani is a drag queen. Robin Williams was a drag queen. I mean, like, they were all weird sexual behaviors, according to you, right? Like, this is so fucking stupid.
Till the Supreme Court invented some right to do weird sex stuff in the mid-2000s, okay? So it is deeply, deeply American to proscribe this sort of weird behavior.
No. I mean, in a way, he's right. Because have there always been some weird fuddy-duddy motherfuckers like this guy that have been with us that have wanted to take away our freedoms because other people exercising freedom makes people like this uncomfortable? Has there always been this puritanical thing in America? Yeah. But has it always been un-American? Yep. It was always un-American. The Puritans were always deeply, deeply, deeply un-American. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, I want to make it clear. Like, when I talk about American, I'm not saying American as a necessarily positive thing. I'm not saying they're un-American, therefore they're bad. I do think they're bad, but I don't think they're bad because they're un-American, because in a lot of ways, I'm un-American. There's a lot of things about this country I don't like, I criticize, I think should be different. That being said, ideologically, I couldn't be further apart from this guy because he believes that lying is just the most wonderful thing in the world. Telling wanton, distortions, butchering the facts, basically brainwashing people with religious and political indoctrination and propaganda. That's all groovy and fine. And personal liberty is the worst thing that's ever happened. Oh my God, people expressing how they actually feel and stuff. Boo. Boo to that. Being propagandized to all march in lockstep together. That's what's good. That's what this guy thinks. I believe the exact fucking opposite. And I'm way better. Just putting that out there.
But even banning books has always, for all of American history, has been very, very much a part of American public life. Obviously, going back to the Puritans, they banned all sorts of books. In fact, there was one guy who was ostracized from the colony by Governor Bradford for writing poems that were a little bit licentious, a little bit lascivious.
Yeah, and that's the guy you're on the side of. You're on the side of the guy that's like, oh, pray tell, these poems are mildly lascivious. Out with you! And you're like, yeah, get him. That'll teach him to write that fucking smut. Well, I wonder what that would have happened. You were a theater kid, right? I mean, this dude is a theater kid that drinks dirty martinis and he did a little gay film in college where he was a homosexual and stuff. And now he's like, ban books, ban licentious poems. We should be Puritans again. Give me a break, bro. You're such a fraud.
And they almost executed him for it, but then they just banished him to an island so he could wait for an English ship to come by and take him back to Britain. And then obviously up through the founding era, all sorts of laws against obscenity. In fact, these laws against obscenity were being exercised at the federal level as recently as 2008. The guy was in prison until 2011, one of the pornographers that they threw in jail. But furthermore, it's not just the Christian...
Yeah, obscenity laws... that's true. There's actually a famous case where, George Carlin, with the 7 dirty words, challenged the obscenity laws. And the obscenity laws won. So it is true that there are obscenity laws that exist as exceptions to freedom of speech. But legal precedent since that time has shifted more, because basically, obscenity laws, the way they're defined is in order for the thing to be obscene, it has to have no artistic merit. And that is such a fucking subjective term that courts have pretty consistently sided with, well, we can't really determine that this doesn't have artistic merit. Therefore, we can't necessarily deem it to be obscene. And, it kind of hinges upon that. So I'm sure that Michael Knowles is way more comfortable just by fiat declaring, like, looking at things he doesn't like. Like, yeah, I mean, it is artfully done, and it does make a social point, and, the cinematography is beautiful and all that, but no artistic merit, obscenity, because I don't like the message. He's comfortable doing that. He's comfortable deciding what you should watch, not what he should watch. Michael Knowles is like, I know what I should watch. I know what I can handle. I know what I should read. But I also know what you should watch, what you should read, what you can handle. Like, how the fuck does he feel like he can make that determination for you? Why the fuck would anyone want to let him? Why the fuck would anyone support that? Like, you're sitting in a room watching a movie, and all of a sudden some dude runs in the movie theater and is like, "You're not allowed to watch this filth! I don't like it!" And this would be like the equivalent of that, but then half of the movie theater's like, "You know what? He's right. I shouldn't be able to make my own decisions on this kind of thing. I should just leave. That guy's right. This ain't good for me. He knows better than I do." How fucking cowed, how fucking cucked do you have to be to look at this dipshit and listen to his little spiel about how he should decide what you can watch, read, see, hear, think, blah, 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 and be like, yes, I agree with this man? Like, who the fuck is such a little bitch that they would actually assent to that?
In the conservatives banning books, quite the opposite. It's the libs. Since the middle of the 20th century, it's the libs who say you can't teach the Bible in schools. Oh no, we better not find any teachers with a Bible in school. We're going to get the ACLU on your back. That's right, the American Civil Liberties Union. We're going to go after you for having a Bible in schools. You better not recite any prayers in schools. Oh no, sirree.
This is yet another instance where if I was in charge, if you guys actually gave me enough power for this crown to mean something, and I was king, this motherfucker would be receiving some steep fines for the statement he just made. Because guess what? Bibles are totally 100% allowed in public schools, and prayer is totally 100% allowed in public schools. What's not allowed is the teacher leading a prayer in schools. What's not allowed is the teacher giving religious instruction from that Bible in schools. But as far as what the students can do, they can pray, they can bring Bibles, they can be Christians. They are 100% constitutionally protected in doing all of those things. They can form an after-school Bible club and get together and pray and read the Bible and talk about the Bible and talk about what it's like to be a Christian and all that stuff. And they're 100% constitutionally protected in their right to do that. But the school is not allowed to mandate prayer. The school is not allowed to mandate the Bible. That's what's going on. And I always get a fucking hearty ha 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 every time one of these conservative nimrods starts talking their weird crap about the ACLU, an organization literally founded on protecting the First Amendment. The ACLU's entire function and purpose is to safeguard First Amendment rights for all Americans. And they have always received stiff and horrible opposition from conservatives, from right-wingers, from Republicans, all of whom, by the way, are the first to claim the moment that one of them gets canceled or censored or whatever, that they are the great champions of free speech. They love freedom of speech. Well, then why don't they love the ACLU? Why aren't they all card-carrying members of the ACLU? The organization devoted to protecting those liberties. And if they want to tell me that, well, the ACLU, that's just a lib organization. They're in the pocket for the libs. They don't really care about freedom of speech. That's definitely not true. The ACLU has defended some extreme, far right-wing, racist hate groups because their devotion to freedom of speech extends that far. Now, my understanding is the ACLU has kind of like walked back those positions, but I really don't think they should have. I think the ACLU should be broadly an apolitical organization that fights for First Amendment rights across the board in all fucking circumstances. That should be their function. They should be 100% free speech absolutist, freedom of speech advocates. Even on issues where I might disagree with them, they should be pursuing that doggedly because that is their social goddamn function. So why is it that the Republican Party, the conservatives, have consistently been against the ACLU and used the ACLU as this mocking talk? The ACLU, like they're like the purpose of the ACLU is to destroy the earth or to legalize rape or something. The ACLU is defending your liberties. The ACLU would defend Michael Knowles. If Michael Knowles became the victim of some form of government censorship, the ACLU would literally be this fucking piece of shit's first call. And he wants to shit talk the ACLU? Give me a break.
This is America. One nation under God. We're not going to let you teach the Bible in schools.
Not really a lie, but the whole one nation under God thing wasn't added until the 50s. It was added to show how much more godly we were than those godless commie bastards. It was added by people like you, by the way. It was added by a bunch of right-wingers who wanted to flex their god dick to the Ruskies. That's it. That is not something that was there from the inception. Now, In God We Trust has been used, in various contexts prior to it being included in the Pledge of Allegiance. So I can't really say it was like completely gone. Or not In God We Trust. One Nation Under God, sorry. In God We Trust is another example of something that was added much later because our original currency did not have In God We Trust on it. These things were all kind of added as a response to, basically social conservatives of the day. Every time they've gotten power, they like to do these little virtue signally things, especially if there's some sort of enemy we're trying to impress. Oftentimes it's been, communists.
Says this is if you don't want your kid reading gay porn in the library, then politely ask the librarian. Now, what are you talking about? We've got
no one's like, there's no gay porn in the fucking library, bro. There's no gay porn in the library, all right? One of the coolest things, though, about being a kid and going to the school library is that the library is way less censored than other places. There's a lot of stuff that's on the shelves. Like all of the first time I read a Stephen King book, it was at my school library. I went and I read Carrie, and Carrie is, a book that has a lot of stuff that would not be appropriate in a movie, that would not be appropriate in a video game. Obviously that stuff's subjective, but like the school wouldn't be allowed to show me a movie that contained, like they couldn't show me the movie Carrie in the school. They couldn't, let me play a video game called Carrie in the school that had the same content. But the book Carrie is there. And that was always fucking honestly pretty awesome. That was one of the things that got me into reading in the first place is the stuff that you're allowed to read in the school is a lot less restricted than the stuff you're allowed to see in the school, than the stuff you're allowed to play in the school, whatever, or say in the school for that matter. So, books kind of had an exemption from a lot of the draconian censorship stuff. Now, in my opinion, nothing should be censored, really. Like, as a kid, I should have been able to watch Carrie. I should have been able to watch all that stuff. Maybe my parents can have a say in it, but the school certainly shouldn't. It's a government body. It has no business dictating any of that to me, in my opinion.
We've got laws against this for all of our nation's history. And furthermore,
there's laws against kids looking at porn. So obviously there cannot be porn in the fucking library. If there is something in the library that meets the criteria of pornography, yes, that is fine to remove. No one would give a shit if you remove porn. But a lot of the books that are being removed are shit like this is a children's book where there's a gay penguin. Oh, like, is it showing the penguin penetrate the... No, it's nothing like that. It's all cute and innocent. It's like, oh, well, then that shouldn't be censored. That's not porn, right? No, it is. Like, what? No, it's not. You're insane. You're a lunatic. Yeah, if you want to fucking make sure there's no porn in the school library, you know what? You have my blessing. There doesn't need to be porn there. Fair point. But there's not porn there. There never was porn there. You're full of shit. It's another lie. You're getting another fine from the king. In fact, at this point, you're just off the air. You're gone. You have been officially censored because you're too much of a fucking liar. At the very least, I'm going to brand the word liar across your fucking your forehead.
This is a self-government. And so when you say, how dare you? How dare you infringe on my right to make my kid read gay porn when he's 10 years old? You don't have that.
What the fuck are you talking about? What? You're like arguing with a psychopath. It's like, you ever know one of these people that you literally, like, you cannot argue with them because the moment you take a position, the next thing you know, they're coming back at you with this insane bullshit that you never said. It's like, yeah, I don't think we should be censoring books in school. So you just think the kids should be reading gay porn when they're 10, huh? It's like, what? Is that the extreme you feel like you have to go to win this argument? You have to engage in this, like, insane hyperbolic bullshit because you can't argue honestly? This is exactly what I'm talking about. The fact that your argument needs this many lies to stand up, that's the problem I have with you. If you could make the case for what you want socially in an honest way, I would still hate your guts, but at least we could have a goddamn conversation. But instead, all you do is tell lie upon 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 lie to justify the insane horse shit coming out of your mouth. Ain't no gay porn in the goddamn school library, you fucking weirdo.
Right. That's a wrong. And who sets the civil rights and wrongs? Well, that would be the people in a self-government, and that democracy that you people are always prattling on about, even though you don't believe it at all.
You know what? I'm just going to let that fucking stand for a minute. I'm not even going to fucking say a word against it. In fact, I'm just going to play it again. Let's just play it one more time and just, like, soak it in for me. Can you do me that little favor? Just soak it in.
When he's 10 years old. You don't have that right. That's a wrong. And who sets the civil rights and wrongs? Well, that would be the people in a self-government, and that democracy that you people are always prattling on about, even though you don't believe it at all.
Okay. People take this motherfucker seriously? Is that what's going on? People taking this seriously? People just like, yeah, this is great. I love Whoopi Salute and tell some blah. Fucking Whoopi Goldberg doesn't know her ass from a hole in the ground. By her logic, it's okay to sex traffic her children. Wow, yeah, that's exactly what she was saying. Good fucking comprehension skills, bro. Amen. Remember when Whoopi was like, by the way, you want to sex traffic my kids? That's just fine. Remember when Whoopi Goldberg said that? Remember when she fucking said that, guys, in that thing? By her logic, that's what she must believe because... I don't know. There's no actual argument that would support you saying that, but why not say it? Why not just lie your ass off? Very strange.
All of which is to say, the liberals obviously don't care about any of this. They're just going to wrap themselves in the flag to peddle their radicalism.
Yeah, them flag-loving liberals, man. Them liberals and the flag. A minute, like, it wasn't like 5 minutes ago that you motherfuckers worship the flag and suck the flag's dick. And, like, I remember there was a time period in American history where if a politician didn't have an American flag lapel pin, it was like they were a communist. And it was all this kind of guy and this kind of politics that pushed that. And now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, these libs just want to talk about their freedom and just wrap it in the flag to, you know, justify their radical extremism of believing in the First Amendment, you know? It's crazy. Might as well just legalize rape and sex trafficking and stuff, basically. That's what I'm getting from them. They want our kids reading porn, you know? And we got to stop them, you guys, because that's what's totally going on. I'm not a fucking lying piece of useless subhuman dog shit or anything.
And it's a political lesson for conservatives. The libs, when they're being really, really effective.
When would that be? When? When does that happen? That's another lie, but that one's pointless.
They're not burning the American flag. The libs, when they're being really effective, they just are lying about American history. And they're saying, oh no, my view, my weird trans throuple parading gay porn down the hallways of elementary schools, why, that's as American as apple pie. That's
what? Once again, yeah. Totally the thing that happens all the time. Man, you know, it's like every other week. You turn on the news and you hear about yet another gay trans throuple showing gay porn to the elementary schoolers in the hallway. It's every day now with that shit. It's like nonstop. We're just being barraged with it. Can't fucking scarcely go to an elementary school without seeing it, right? I mean, like, every single thing that you say is justified by yet another elaborate, ridiculous, completely untrue lie. So, like, don't you think, this is what I don't get about these people. Help me get this. Help me understand it. If I were to take a political position, and in order to justify that political position, I had to just lie and lie and lie and lie and lie and lie and lie, at some point it would kind of occur to me like, hey, I'm having to lie a lot to justify why this position is right. I guess that probably means this position is wrong. And maybe I should, like, change my fucking mind or something. And then I would change it and I'd be like, all right, now I don't have to lie anymore. Now I can just tell the truth because my position makes fucking sense. But apparently with a guy like this, that just never happens. I don't really understand how a motherfucker like this is wired. Poorly. That's the only thing I understand.
That's why the founding fathers fought the revolution, was to defend my right to do that. And it's obviously totally bogus, but that's what they do. They're picking up a lesson from Machiavelli. They're picking up a lesson from a lot of political thinkers, which is, if you want to be politically effective, you got to wrap yourself in the flag. So there's two ways.
That's what Machiavelli said, you know? He was like, you want to be politically effective, you got to wrap yourself in your flag. Machiavelli's The Prince, chapter. No, fuck you. He didn't say that shit. The fuck are you talking about? You're just trying to make your dumb audience sound smart or think you're smart. Referencing something they vaguely heard of. Oh yeah, Machiavelli, man. It's like smart college shit. This guy knows what he's talking about.
To do it. You can either do it in the pure will kind of politics, which is some people see things that are and say, why I dream things that never were, and say, why not? Which is the Humpty Dumpty kind of politics in Alice in Wonderland, where Humpty Dumpty says, what does a word mean? It means whatever I say it means.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. At what point in that does Humpty fucking say anything? What? Huh? Alice in Wonderland. This guy likes to reference things. It's like Machiavelli's Alice in Wonderland, where Humpty Dumpty said, oh. Hey, motherfucking men, bro.
And Alice says, well, it's got to be awfully confusing for words to have all those meanings. The question is, do words really mean those things? And Humpty Dumpty says, no, the question is, which is to be master? That's all.
Ah. So apparently Humpty Dumpty is in Alice in Wonderland, not in the movie. I have obviously not read the book. I don't know what that little aside had to do with anything. It must be one of those fucking noodle bakers. Must be one of those little head scratchers where I gotta, like, think about that for a little while. So I guess we'll put a pin in that one.
That's the liberal version of it. It's just, yeah, we'll just, whatever we say, that's going to become the truth because we said it. Then there's the conservative version, which is...
That's you. I mean, I've already pointed out, like, lies that you've said in this video. I didn't just call you a liar and then just not explain why. I've called you a liar and then told you people the truth. And if anyone looks up what I've said, I don't know if every sentence is 100% accurate because I don't contain all knowledge in my head. But I'm pretty sure that my track record would be way more impressive than yours. Like if my body of work was fact checked, there would probably be less incorrect statements in my entire body of work than there would be in like 3 weeks of your show. I'm pretty confident in saying that. If any independent fact checkers exist out there, feel free to give it a shot.
What is the truth? You engage in a rational process and you ask yourself questions about objective reality. Then you reason through that using...
I don't think so. I don't remember Humpty Dumpty being in Alice. All right, well, you know what? We're going to go look this up. We're going to find out if Humpty Dumpty is in Alice in Wonderland. Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty is a fictional character from the novel Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There by Lewis Carroll. He is based upon traditional English nursery rhymes. So yes, he is in Through the Looking Glass. Humpty Dumpty grows from an egg that Alice purchases from the sheep's curiosity shop, blah, 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 blah. So yes, he is in the Alice lore. So that is not inaccurate.
Your abstract reasoning, and maybe the inherited wisdom of the ages, and maybe just looking at the customs of people who already exist. And then you use your will to try to pursue the truth. Right now, text Knowles. Can it?
Nope. Sure won't.
It tends to be because we're making an argument that really has a basis in history. That's not what the libs do. And I'm not just making a cheap shot. Don't forget, the biggest liberal campaign on education in the last 5 or 6 years was the New York Times 1619 Project, which claimed that America's revolution was fought to preserve slavery, and even left-wing academic historians said that wasn't true. And when...
That's such a ridiculous, like, oversimplification. I mean, like, history is not set in stone. I mean, what happened, happened. But how it is interpreted and what we understand of it, all of those things have like massive limitations. So yeah, there is like plenty of spirited debate about history, plenty of arguing about how sources should be weighed, things of that nature. And there's various different ideological, social lenses that you can look at history through. And everybody has these things. There is no way to objectively look back at history without any sort of ideology. It's just not possible. There is tremendous amounts of subjectivity there because we cannot go and look at every moment. We don't always know what everybody was thinking. We don't always know what happened in the room where the deal was made. We don't always know like what other forces might have been at play that were just never documented. We don't always know that the source is reliable. In fact, a lot of times we know that the source probably isn't reliable. So, yeah, history, it's a murky, difficult, challenging subject. And for this guy to just be like, 1619 Project said revolution was fought to preserve slavery, and a bunch of people said that's not true, so therefore defeated that one, you guys, see? Easy peasy.
The writer of the 1619 Project.
She's just so close to singing a Hamilton song there. I was thinking that song when I said that. You know, the room where it happened song. I don't even remember the melody, so I'm not going to attempt it. But
Nicole Hannah-Jones.
I was thinking about it.
Was confronted by this. She basically shrugged her shoulders. Yeah.
Lib gets brainwashed by Hamilton. Introduces talking points into live stream. Of course, this guy has definitely seen Hamilton. He definitely has a profound love of musical theater.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Se non è vero è ben trovato is the Italian expression. You know, if it's...
This guy really is just like a nerdy-ass theater kid, right? I think this is easy for him because he just thinks of it as like, I'm playing the role of a conservative moron. And in exchange for that, I will receive money and accolades and support. So, yeah, I'll just get out there, say whatever I need to say. What do the morons want to hear? Okay. Hey, morons, you're actually right because Machiavelli, quote from Alice in Wonderland, here's some French. All right. Yep, that's why your dumb fuck, redneck, poorly thought out ideas are actually pretty smart and savvy, you guys. Please give me money. Deposit money now.
Not true. It makes a good story. And what did the New York Times do? Eventually, they kind of were forced to correct it a little bit subtly many months later, but they still continued to peddle the 1619 Project because they don't care.
Or because your summarization of what happened is absurd. Could be that, too.
Politics grounded in the truth or a politics that is pure will? Which one?
I love how this liar is fucking doing this big speech about truth right now. Oh, man, you know what really matters to us conservatives? The fucking truth. That's why I've lied to you like 7 times in this video, because I love the truth so much.
Are we going to have? You see this actually. RFK Jr. is running for president now as a Democrat. And RFK Jr. is a lifelong Democrat. Obviously, his father is Robert Kennedy. His uncle is John F. Kennedy. And he's been an environmental lawyer his whole life. He actually lived in the town right over from me when I grew up. And he's a lib. He's a real lib. But he's gotten a lot of conservative cred recently because he's questioned vaccines for a long time. And vaccine skepticism is now conservative. It used to be liberal. Now it's conservative. After we saw how the liberal establishment lied to us for the last 3 years. He questions Big Pharma, questions Dr. Fauci. And so he's done a lot of great work over the last few years.
So basically, because he is like a weird vaccine denial guy, and a bunch of right-wingers love that, dude, there's nothing that the right loves more than a liberal, quote unquote, that's on their side. You know, they love the conservative that goes out and says the conservative talking points, but is like, as a liberal, I believe that conservatives are right about everything. And you would think that would be the dumbest grift that no one would ever fall. Like, it would never work the other way around. Like, there could never be some right-wing dude that's like, I might be a right-winger, but I think you leftists got some good ideas. We'd be like, then what? You're not a right-winger then. But for some reason, probably because the low IQs you're dealing with on the right, a lot of these motherfuckers are so amped up to hear that there's some liberal, there's some leftist out there that agrees with them, actually. They love the pick-me's, man. They love the black dude that agrees with all their racism. They love the trans chick that agrees with all their transphobia. They love the liberal that agrees with all their weird medical denialist shit. It's like their favorite fucking thing. It gets their dicks hard. But it's like the weirdest grift in the world. Maybe I should try it. Maybe I should be like, look, guys, I am an atheist, but I think Christianity is correct. I should just put it out as a fucking social experiment. Just be like, look, as an atheist, I have to say Christianity is the ultimate religion, and I do follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, and I do recognize his divinity, but I am an atheist. And just see how, like, they would fall over themselves. They'd love it. Oh my God, wow, yeah. Even as an atheist, he believes in God. And they'd be like, guys, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense, guys. I can't be an atheist that believes in God. They'd be like, yeah, you can. You can. I've seen it. No. No, you can't. No, you fucking can't.
Now, RFK Jr. running against Biden, and a lot of conservatives are saying, why is he running as a Democrat? He should be running as a Republican. He's a Republican these days. The Kennedys are Republicans these days. Here's what RFK Jr. just had to say on the campaign trail.
We're now in this situation where, you know, without free speech,
yeah, that's sounds like presidential material to me, man. Yeah, this is best and brightest. All right, cool.
democracy just withers and dies. Free speech is the fertilizer. It's the sunlight and it's the water for democracy. And you know nobody. There is no time in history where the people who were censoring speech were the good guys. You know, they're always the bad guys because, of course, that is the first and last.
This is, once again, I know that Michael Knowles is about to appear and disagree with this, but this is once again something that right wingers, I feel like 10 years ago, would have said they agreed with. And now there's literally a guy is like, freedom of speech is important. And they're like, look at this crazy nut. He's a lunatic. The right has now become so far totalitarian that even a dude just coming on and being like, I am pro free speech is now scary to them. That is now something that they are like, no way. He's insane. He's a fucking radical.
totalitarianism, silencing critics.
So that's the sort of statement that sounds like it's true, but it isn't really true. It is.
Oh, yeah. That's the kind of statement. Oh, yeah. It sounds like it's true. These people that come out there like, I support freedom of speech. That sounds true. It sounds like freedom of speech is important, but if you really think about it, no. No, because like all of our enemies are using freedom of speech to say the stuff that we don't like, guys. You ever think about that? You ever think about how all of our enemies are using free speech to say all the stuff we don't like? I think we ought to just take that away. I think they don't need that anymore, right? Because they're saying stuff we don't like. Remember now, if they were saying stuff we liked, sure, all the freedom of speech you want, go ahead and take it. But they're saying stuff, once again, that we do not like. Therefore, do they really need freedom of speech? I don't think so. Humpty Dumpty once said, nah.
Isn't really true because throughout history, everyone ever in power at all has censored speech. And everyone, I don't care how liberal you think you are, you would support some kinds of limits.
It'd be so fucking awesome, dude. If Joe Biden used his presidential power to like somehow censor Michael Knowles, if he just like was like, as president, I'm going to do everything in my power to silence Michael Knowles. And Michael Knowles was suddenly the victim of like an insane government censorship campaign. How quickly would this rhetoric flip an absolute fucking bitch, bro? How quickly would this motherfucker be the champion of freedom of speech? What kind of speech would he make telling you all about how freedom of speech is our most fundamental American value and nothing matters more than that vaunted tradition of freedom of speech enshrined in the First Amendment? It would be instantaneous, bruh. And sis.
On speech. This is throughout all of history. Sometimes the Catholics have censored speech. Sometimes the Protestants have censored speech. Sometimes the Jews have censored speech. Sometimes the Muslims have censored speech. Today, we see the atheists especially censoring speech.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I would definitely censor your speech if I could. So you're right. I mean, you make a good point. Like if I had the power to censor your speech, but it wouldn't be for any, I want to make it clear. It wouldn't be for any opinion you have. You could have every single position that you have right now. Every single position that you currently hold, you can still hold. But you have to tell us the real fucking reasons for those positions. That's my criteria, bitch. And that's why you'd never make it. Because if you had to be honest, you would rather shrivel into the mud than be honest for a second. Because if you told people the real reasons for the stuff you believe, well, it wouldn't sit well with most. You fucking Nazi bitch. You fucking grifter of Nazis. Anti-freedom cuck bitch.
Sometimes it's been the Democrats. Sometimes it's been the Republicans. Sometimes it's been this person or that. And the reason for that, as I explain in my book, Speechless, Controlling Words, Controlling Minds, #1 national bestseller. Hello, producers. Where are you at? There we go. All right. We're missing Mr. Davies, I think. As I explain in my book, Speechless, there we go.
Was that kind of weird for anybody else just now? Hello, producers. Hello. I'm trying to sell my book right now. I see you, buddy. I see you, Michael Knowles. I know what's going on.
Culture has to have certain limits. Every culture is going to recognize certain things as taboo. And so RFK is pointing out that the current censorship that's going on is quite wrong because it's the libs who are doing it and they're censoring true.
Hello, Antoine. Hello, I'm promoting the book. It's supposed to come up on this. Okay, finally. Thank you. Okay. Anyway, yes, conservative values quite good. Honey, come on. You could do better.
Speech. But it's not wrong necessarily to censor false, evil, ugly speech. It's not wrong to censor drag queen expression in the elementary schools, is it? It's not wrong to censor the gay porn in the elementary school libraries. I think.
Yeah. Your insane extreme examples of shit that never really happened, that would be fine. If your position was legitimately, I don't want there to be porn in elementary schools, you would find zero opposition from fucking anybody. That would be 100% fine with pretty much 99% of everyone. Pretty sure there wouldn't be much pushback if that was the true position being taken here. But it's not. It's a disingenuous, absolute hyperbolic misrepresentation of the actual position. You can't even be honest about what your actual position is. Insane.
I think all of us would agree that that's a very good thing. It's not wrong to censor threats. It's not wrong to censor fighting words. It's not wrong to censor all these things. It's a shallow liberal view that RFK Jr. is expressing. And I think he's doing it with the best of intentions, and he's one of the best Democrats out there. It's just another reminder, liberalism is not going to save us. Even the old liberalism of...
Dude, this guy literally just heard boilerplate pro-America shit about freedom of speech and how America's great because we have freedom. And he's literally attacking that right now while claiming that he is very American. I mean, it's just a new level of delusional insanity. And, meanwhile, just being able to see through to the real Michael Knowles and understand the level to which he is grifting right now makes it even sadder. Like Michael Knowles, the real Michael Knowles, the Michael Knowles that exists behind this pathetic veil that I see easily through. If you happen to ever watch this, Michael Knowles, I just want you to understand that what you do is fundamentally lie to idiots in an intelligent sounding enough voice with enough literary references and things like that peppered in for them to justify the literal most dumb fuck positions under the sun. You are basically just a mouthpiece that delivers lies to morons so that they can continue to believe stupid things. Right? That's what you do. That's what you professionally are at this point. You're making the world worse simply for your own enrichment. I'm sure you're aware of this. I'm sure you have made your peace with it. But I'm just going to say, you don't have to do it, man. You don't have to do this. Especially now. You've made your grift money. Come on out. Come on out. Come on out of that fucking oppressive closet you're in. Right? Let your freak flag fly, Michael. It's okay. You made your money. You did your grift. Be the real Michael. We want to know the real Michael Knowles. We could learn to love the real Michael Knowles, a sassy gay diva who better read my book, bitch. Come on, Mike. It's fine. You can do it. I believe in you, Michael. I see the potential in you. That's Michael Knowles. Or something wearing his skin.